Hey guys, if you guys are interested in abstract realism paintings and how I start some of my paintings, stick around. I'm going to show you this one, how I started from the beginning. So I wet my canvas a little bit. This is, I believe, a 22 by 28 size canvas. And I add a little bit of warm gray with a palette knife, and then I get a tiny bit of turquoise. I don't use a lot of turquoise. This is just to get my mind kind of mentally prepared for the colors that I want to start incorporating. And if you plan on doing this, you can draw out the person that you're going to paint before you do this process, or you can just, add some color so you can start getting that visual feel and on the color coordinating, and then do this section right here. But anyhow, so I just kind of wipe a little bit off. The turquoise that I laid here, none of this is going to show at the end. There may be little spots that I end up liking, and that usually happens on your undercoating. And so, which I don't care, you just have to start laying down some color. And so I'm just blow drying it right there to kind of rush the drying process. And I want to lay the picture down on that corner, and I noticed that there was a little spot that wasn't dry, so I just wiped it off, which it doesn't matter. And so I get me the yardstick, and I start measuring, because we're scaling up. And what you can do is you can get your yardstick and just meet from one corner to the opposite corner, and like I'm doing here, and then just line down your reference, and you line it up with the of course the yardstick, like I'm doing here, from the bottom left corner of the photo and the top right corner to the ruler or the yardstick. And I'm creating these lines here so that I can be able to transfer the picture onto the canvas. So I'm breaking it down into grid lines, and that's really helpful. You can use this technique or the proportional tool. You can transfer by using a tracing paper, but when you're going larger, you might have to use a projector if you're not doing it freehand. So I'm just transferring that grid line onto the canvas. And I'm going to roughly sketch out where I see her face according to the grid lines and comparing them to the reference lines. And I want to start my next process by kind of just roughly painting her in just with a solid color. And this is going to be sort of semi-monochromatic, but because I'm using turquoise, it kind of leans away from that. But most of my tones are going to be grayish tone values. When you're making gray, it's not recommended to use black and white to make your gray. You may want to make it out of other colors. So I ended up using some burnt umber, ultramarine blue, and then I added some light color to it, some white. And then I made like 3 batches of medium, light, and dark. Standing up when you're doing your paintings is always so much better. At the end, when you're getting ready to do the detail, you're okay sitting down, but you're more free, and you can stand back and see what you've painted and see how everything looks. But basically right now what I'm doing is just putting down where I'm going to do my eyes, my nose, and my mouth. Yeah, I'm going to start drawing her out by applying my darks. And highly recommend it. Squint your eyes so that you can start looking for shapes, and that makes the process a lot easier. I have an issue here with my easel. There's a little gap in the back where I have that board going across where the canvas is sitting on. And when I use flat panels, it goes in, it kind of falls into the back. And so I ended up putting some duct tape on there, and sometimes it works, but when you're doing flat panels, it's almost like you have to have it clamped in there so it won't be bouncing around. Okay, so now that I have her drawn out, I can start playing with my background. And the background is fairly easy, guys. You don't have to match everything exact to your reference. You can just use your imagination and what's appealing to your eye. So even my own reference, I can't follow all those little tiny details. And you're not looking to do that. See my easel? And that's where I had issues. So I went ahead and I got some more duct tape because that one was already not sticky anymore. Okay, back in business. As you're painting the background, always try to incorporate your colors into your subject. Don't leave one neglected, to do the other, because what you're basically doing is you're trying to make the combination of it all tying in together nicely. So, and you just play around with your colors. I ended up using a roller to create some of the marks on, and then you'll see at the end. And then I ended up spraying some lettering with a stencil that I wanted to show through because it showed really cool on the reference. And I love that stencil. It's actually one of my favorites. I've done other paintings with that font. It's kind of like handwriting, just free. It doesn't say anything. It's just very small. I had to make another mixture, and so I've got my, it was burnt umber and ultramarine blue, and then I pull out my white to make some medium and light tones, and a little bit more warm gray. And you want to mix it until it gets gray, and you'll see. I don't know if you guys have tried making gray with different colors, but it's pretty interesting because gray isn't necessarily made with black and white. If you use gray like that, by mixing black and white, you're going to end up getting a flat gray, and you don't really want that. You want more of a warm gray. Yes, in places you do use cool gray, and you can add some blue to make cool gray. Okay, and here's where I use my stencil. And I used this gray here, and well, it was good when it was against the white, but I ended up spraying some on the other side. I think you'll see it here in the video where I ended up using black. Although, okay, just FYI, the black that I end up using, and you'll see it here, I think it's on here, I end up using it with, it's an oil-based paint. And so you have to be careful when you use it, because if you're going to continue to apply acrylics, all this is done in acrylics right now. If you're going to apply some oil base on top of your acrylics, you cannot put acrylic anymore on top of your oil spray or your oils, period. Okay, so now I move my painting to the other side of my room where I have my oil paints. And now it's all oils from here on. And if you notice on the black lettering that's on the left side of the portrait painting, that was already done with black spray. And I'm just introducing here. I don't know what shade I need for her shadow. So I'm just kind of starting off a little not so dark here. I should have gone darker because I do end up going darker at the end, and you'll see the shadows later. But all this is in oils. And the reason why you notice the difference is it's the same colors, the same color palette that I use for the acrylics, But the reason why it's a little different here is because I used a tiny bit of black on the other, which it doesn't matter because it was just going to be my undercoat. Okay, so I'm going to put it on time lapse now. And that's basically how you start your process on the oil painting for abstract realism. And this is, by the way, a portrait of my daughter. Okay, and hope she likes it. Let me know what you think. Okay, guys, you guys stay creative, and but that's basically how you start your abstract paintings, or how I start mine, because there's so many different ways of how people approach their art. Okay, we'll catch you guys later, and stay cool and stay safe and stay creative. And I want you to know too that if I can do it, you guys can do it. I've only been doing this for 2 years, maybe 3, close to 3, but there she is.